Gentleman who won the one that we put in a box, and he's not here yet, but his tree is here. So that was Mitch. When Mitch gets here, I'm gonna force him to talk about, huh? He'll be late, so we'll have him talk about his tree. So this is one of the other trees that we did, and I think Joe came and helped me box all of these.
Yeah, we cut them all back.
So what we did was we cut all of these back to just nubs. We left one or two branches on each trunk to kind of help stimulate the growth, or if the branches were in the right place. So I think in this particular case, we like the triple trunk, so we picked this as the front side right here. So what I'd like to do, before we get too far down the road here with this, is have everybody come up and kind of look at the front and then look at all of these volunteer branches that happen. And imagine if you were going to go in and style this right now, where you might pick and choose, all right? And then we'll start talking about it. So if everyone to kind of come up and take a look.
And in this month's newsletter that we had for April, we took the pictures of the trees in the raw, and then Michael took the pictures after we boxed them. You can see the beginning and after, and then
This is what they look like now.
yes.
And we're going to beat these up pretty bad this time. So come take a look first, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, that'd be real good to us.
And one of these trees will be raffled off tonight, and then the third tree will be raffled off when we do in September. In September when we do that. Yeah.
We're all trying to get lunch out for each other.
We'll get Greg. We usually do it right at breakfast. We'll see Greg. Yeah.
You need this side to be the front. See what you think. I'm gonna go out and get my hat. It's light.
I haven't seen this.
You're right.
Yeah, they are.
Right? One of those like.
I have a bicycle car.
So yeah, if you look in the newsletter, you'll see these when we first got them. They were huge, and then we cut them back, and now we end up on
What do you like right here?
I like it coming up this way. So I think I want you to put that wave kind of.
No. This trunk was see that big? Okay, so basically, I should explain it. I'll do that right now. All right, here we go.
Oh, there you go.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
It's the same, isn't it?
So let me have your attention. The way we did this was these all came in, 5-gallon containers. This tall. The bases were all pretty large. This about this size like this. What we did was we just cut the root ball basically in half. And we took what was left, we put it in the box, teased out the roots the end of it, get them started going laterally, right? Put them right into the box. Give them up the soil, wire them down nice and tight, and let them go. Okay? We pushed back all the heavy branches or stuff that we didn't want, and we just left it with the basic idea in mind, hoping that we would get a lot of new branches. Okay? And generally, when you do this, you get a lot of back budding like that. Okay? Can you hear me? Okay?
Too much.
Yeah, okay, you get a lot of back budding when you do that. And so you get all these nice branches back inside that sort of begin to help you define what you would want in the future. All right, so we kind of picked this as the front initially, right here. But as time goes along, you may decide, well, you know what? We liked it here in the beginning, right, from here, but maybe it's better here, or maybe it's better here, now that we've got all these branches that we didn't have before. Okay, so what we're going to do tonight is going to figure out which branches we need to keep, which ones we're going to eliminate that aren't unnecessary, and then you're going to, the stuff that we left that was pretty hardy, we'll push it back, and the stuff that's new, we're going to let it run. We're going to start trying to balance the growth. This stuff that's brand new down here, we need to reprogram the tree so that this stuff will be as strong as this stuff. Does that make sense? So we'll let this run all the way until probably September when we meet again, and then we'll cut this back. We'll cut it, we'll do more of a profile, okay? But right now, what we want to do is we want to encourage all these branches that are brand new, that are starting out, to be more like these guys up here that we left off, okay? So that's what we're going to try and do, okay? Now, of the people that came up and took a look, is everybody in agreement that that's still a front from more or less?
Yeah.
Right? Everybody liked it from right in there? You picked this one, right?
I did.
You want to talk about it?
Okay.
Okay. What's your name?
Christine.
Christine. Okay. Why did you like this for the front side?
I like this for the front because you can see that this branch right here,
The main trunk
the main trunk is already moving in a,
has a nice look to it, right?
yeah, it looks like it's, you know, the wind is gonna blow it this way and it's gonna go whoosh. And then also this branch here is going that way as well. See, it's all coming this way.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it would be nice if it got styled to lean towards that side a little bit, but then I don't know what to do with the rest of the stuff, so someone's gonna have to have an idea for that.
Okay.
That was my 2 cents.
Does anybody else want to throw in their 2 cents? No? All right, one thing that I thought I would share with you guys is when we cut off the bottom of this root ball, I like to take these things and set them in the yard and start watering them. And what happens is all those roots start to grow little trees. And what you end up with is like what's over there on the end of the table, you end up with a forest of little trees. And then you can take this root ball and put it into a box and have a forest. And let me show you what that looks like. Root ball forest. So check this out. That's just from the root ball. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to let this grow for for the rest of this until about July, and then I'm going to go in and start picking and choosing and whittling it down and pulling things apart and that kind of thing. Create some kind of a little forest in here. But what's wonderful about this is it's completely random. I haven't had, you know, until I start to edit which ones I want to keep and which ones go away, it's all nature. So pretty fun. Anybody that gets a hold of one of these, you should just keep it watered and fed, and next year you could have something like this to play with.
You're amazing.
Pretty cool. I'll be right back. I've got one more pair. By the way, we have access through Lindsay to get Joshua Roth tools. These things, my new favorite, my new favorite clippers, right. Okay, so one thing we didn't have before was right here on this kind of elbow, was we didn't have any branches right here. And we really needed one. Get that movement like that right there. And you need to have something out there to kind of show. So these guys are really important. It was a little gift. We had nothing, now we got something. Okay, so that's good. We've got 3 or 4 choices there. It just depends on what we want to keep. So in this case, I'm going to let both of those go and pick later on whichever one's the strongest of the two. But this one that's poking us right in the face, don't need that one. So that one can come off. There's another one right down here, it's sort of in the elbow, that one's gonna come off. We're just gonna keep these 2 right here. Everybody see that? Okay, just go like that. Anything that's coming straight at us, I'm going to take it off right now. Anything that's on the inside and down low, we're going to take it off. And in this case, this first branch out here is probably still where we want our first branch. Can everyone see that? Right there. So anything below that probably isn't necessary to this design. Okay, so anything like right here in front, we can probably take all of these guys off. Now, one of the things that I like to do when I design a tree is I like to try and keep the front side of the trunk showing quite a bit, okay? You don't want to make it bare all the way up. You want to have a little bit in front of the trunk once in a while to kind of hide it and make it look natural. But you want to see a good portion of the trunk all the way up. Shows the movement, really helps the eye follow the movement of the tree. So that's really important. The back side, you almost can't have too many branches on the back side because that's what silhouettes that trunk line and really makes it stand out. So I like to put a lot of branches in the back side. It's kind of nice to try and stagger your branches so that you're never one on top of the other this way. You don't want to shade your branches. You want to kind of keep them spread apart like that so that light gets in and you get to see everything, okay? So we're just going to worry about the front side right now. Just going to take off all the stuff that's kind of in the way. We're not going to worry too much about the back side.
So do you already know what shape you want it to ultimately get to, or are you just kind of going to figure that out as you go along?
For the most part, I'm following exactly what you said. So yes, so anything that doesn't really conform to that idea
It's going to go.
is going to go. So that's what we're doing right now is we're just cleaning out all the stuff that really doesn't really help that idea, okay?
So
pretty much you're getting rid of the new growth, not the stable branch.
Say it again?
So right now you're getting rid of the new growth, not,
I'm only taking off anything of the new growth. So the old growth, we left it where in the key places. But new growth it's pretty
Yeah.
irregular, it just happens where it happens, right? And so you really count on that stuff at this stage of the game. It comes in and adds, like I said, these two branches out here, we had nothing out there, and they're really important because that's just where you need them, okay? So I was real happy to see those pop right there. That was, I thought I was gonna have to go in and do that another way, okay? So, but these, so like, for instance, this branch right here that's coming off, maybe that's not a good place for that to be, this one right here. So you want to get rid of that guy. Now, we have a branch down low. This one's really important. This one up here is also pretty important, and then you've got this. Do we have anything on the back side that's going to help out? We do. We have all of this stuff back here, right? So we don't want anything pointing down. We just want them going just more laterally or up. Deciduous trees, that if you look in nature at deciduous trees, as the branches get older, they start to sag. They get heavy and they start to sag, but the tips all stand up. So you get this nice canopy like this, and the branches start down here, and then as the newer branches come up, they stand up more and more and more until you get to the top, and they're almost vertical, okay? And that's where you get that nice canopy. So the movement and the canopy are all things that you kind of want to consider when you're putting together a deciduous tree. A little bit different than the way you would style conifers and pines. Conifers and pines have a completely different look. So we're talking about deciduous trees, okay? So again, inside branch, maybe not so good. So we're starting to open this up. Now, things that are coming across like this, right here, where it's poking, sort of poking you in the face and coming across the design, that might not be such a good idea, okay? A little further up the tree, we might want to do that, but when it's down low, not so much. They start to get in the way. Blocks that view of the nice trunk line. So I'm going to take out some of those. I'm going to try and keep things either coming just a little bit towards you but away, or to the side or to the back, and keep it pretty open down below.
When you take branches off, do you prefer cutting them off or tearing them off?
Say it again?
When you take branches off or just new growth, do you prefer to cut them off or tear them off?
Cut them off. Why would I want to tear them?
Sometimes you'll
Like
have
tinge.
secondary branches coming out.
Pardon me?
Sometimes you'll have secondary branches or budding coming out in that
So
side.
okay, so that's a good question. So when you take stuff off at the trunk where you don't want anything else to come, if you take it off flush to the trunk, in other words, take off the whole knob, then you won't get any more branches there. If you leave a little stump, then where that piece comes off the trunk, if you leave a little piece right there, you're going to get secondary branches right there. They're going to pop out from both sides. Okay, so
Do you-
go
Do
ahead.
you cut it on an angle or just straight?
That's also a really good question. So when you're cutting on the way a trunk heals is that the flow comes up the trunk this way, right? So if you take your cutters and you cut sideways like this, then you're going to create a scar that looks like this, right? which means that the sap's gonna have to flow this way, all the way around it, and it's gonna take a lot longer to roll over. If you cut it vertically, this way, like this, then you're gonna minimize the amount of flow and it's gonna heal over faster, okay? I think for the time being, I'm gonna keep this branch right here. I can always take it off, but you know, it doesn't bother me right now. It may later as the tree develops more, but right now I can see that kind of coming across and hiding a little bit of the trunk and kind of making it look a little more natural. Okay? Back in here, on the front side of this back side, of the back branch, or back trunk, you see all these guys are pointed right at you. Not so good. Kind of hides that look back there. You want to keep that more back on the sides and in the back, okay? So we're going to take off some of those.
What happens when you make a mistake?
You hope it goes back.
How do you fix that?
You go
You go, oops.
You go the other way.
Because it's gonna happen, right?
almost always. You know, if you get really carried away and you start cutting really fast and you're thinking you've got something in mind, and then all of a sudden you go back and go, maybe I should have kept that one. So if you haven't cut it off really flush tight to the trunk, the chances of getting another guy off to the one side or the other of that are pretty good, but not always. Okay? So it happens, you're right. The other thing you want to do is you want to alternate your branches. You don't want branches that are all coming from out of the trunk side by side this way, okay? There's a term for that. It's called a bar branch. And it looks awkward when your eye's coming up the trunk line and all of a sudden there's two branches side by side like this. You want to stagger your branches. Not only does it help visually, but it also helps. If you get too many branches coming from the same spot on the trunk will swell then. And you'll get this big kind of reverse knob going on in there. It just doesn't look pleasing. It's always hard to overcome that over time. So try to stagger your branches as much as you can going up the trunk. Get nice even growth. So in this case, I've got a branch down here, and then a branch a little bit higher up here, but I've got this little guy that's right straight across from that guy right there. So these two side by side, I'm going to leave the bigger one and take off the little guy, okay? Can you see that? Yep.
What for this tree? Where do you imagine the overall height?
Good question. So in the beginning, and trees grow. They get taller and taller and taller. No matter even how much you push them back, over time they're going to want to get larger and larger. So to me, successful design always has a future element involved in it. We want to try and imagine, okay, so if I'm going to keep this tree right now at about this height and fill it in 20 years it's going to want to be up here or up here, and how am I going to do that? You know, where is it going to go? Where is the twists and turns going to happen to make that work? You don't have to know that today exactly. You just have to keep in mind as it's beginning to develop, where's the next piece going to be, okay? And you just kind of make it up as you go along. It's a collaboration between you and your tree. It gives you something, and you have to be aware that it's giving you something, and what do I want to do with it? Okay, so that's what makes this really fun. It's never the same from year to year. It's every time the leaves come off, it's a new deal. It's really, really cool that way.
I like that answer.
Huh?
I like that answer.
All right. So we're going to continue that same kind of thing going all the way up to the top. Okay, here's a little bit of a problem. This is pretty much the top for this little guy right here. Right here, see this? And at this point right now, it doesn't have any back branches down this side. Okay? Let me show you guys this. So you see how this is my top for this little trunk? And it doesn't really have any back branches coming through here. Part of the way elms grow is that the branches are side by side all the way up. Other varieties of other plants or other species of plants, it starts this way and then the next set's this way and back and forth. And so you almost always have options to take things up and down. Elms are a little different. So what I would need to do here is I would try to find one of these branches and begin to fold it down to give me some foliage in the back and help things out. So I'm going to have to save some of what I would normally not save, some of these branches on the top side that are coming in. Some of those are going to want to fold down to give me some back branch to help give me volume in this area. Okay, can you all see that? So that's going to be really important. So you might not keep the branches that you would normally keep in this case, and discard the other ones. You need to start thinking ahead, okay, what do I have, and pick. I've got good topside branches, so this is growing this way right now, and I need it to be more like this. So we have a couple of options. We could put some wire on this and kind of try and twist it to give me side-to-side stuff, or we can bend stuff down to give us branches going sideways. So I think what the easy thing to do right now, rather than put wire on here, because I want it to grow quickly and to get some thickness to the branches, or to these guys, is I want to let them run and give me size while trying to develop branches where I'm going to need them. So we're going to leave it alone right now and try and pull some of these guys down really gently and let them run sideways to give us back branches. Okay? So I'm lucky here. I've got this guy. I just need some stuff running up this side of this trunk. So I don't need them all. I just need a few of them.
this kind of manipulation far into the year, or do you have to catch it around springtime?
So that's a really good question. This is just getting started, right? So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to do two things. We're trying to overcome all the hard cutback we did when we put it into the box. So we're going to save a lot of really small branches and let them run and get strong. And we're going to push back some of the stuff that we left on that was kind of going in the right direction to sort of balance the growth a little better. But for the most part, we want these things to just run right now and start getting really settled in and make it even growth all over. So we won't come back and prune on these again until September. Is that right, Joe? September, right?
Yeah.
So you can still go until dormancy?
Well, we'll prune it, yeah, we'll prune it in September, and then it'll get one more spurt of growth on it before the end of the year. But what's really cool about that September to the end of the year growth is that it's finer growth. The leaves will be smaller, the distance between the internodes will be smaller, all of that stuff. So at that point in September, we can come in and push it really hard back to just the parts we want to keep. And by then, a lot of these branches that we've let run are going to have a lot more strength, so that when we do push them back, you know, they're going to give us a good burst right there at the end. And going on through the next year, we'll do the same. We'll let them run like this, you know, again next year. And over time, you do that a couple of years in a row, and pretty soon those branches become main branches, and everything looks in proportion. And that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get that in proportion look with all the branches. Okay? So branches that we left on that are strong, like right here, for instance, we can be a little bit tougher on that branch right there, okay? Because it's already got a lot of vigor, okay? And it's given us a lot of run. So I can push that back and let some of these guys that are a little bit smaller run to catch up in size, okay?
So are you leaving like 2 leaflets or so?
I'm just picking a spot randomly in there. I'm not being too careful about it. It won't back bud. The only places it's gonna back bud are where there were leaves. So going forward, if you leave too much space in your internodes, and you try to develop weight branches out there, you're only going to get them right where those leaves were. So those long internodes, that's where your branches are going to be. That's too much. At some point, you're going to have to push it way back to take, you know, get smaller internodes to get your ramification that you want. So you don't need a lot of ramification in close to the trunk. You need it out towards the outsides, right? So a little bit of distance in your internodes in by the trunk is not too bad. But as you get further out, you want tighter and tighter internodes so that you get lots of fine branches. And that's what makes the tree look old. I like to do what they call clip and grow, or directional pruning. So, you know, you all know what directional pruning is? Everybody know that? No, okay. So directional pruning is like right here. And you've got a branch coming out and you've got 2 leaves like this. If I cut it right here, then I'm going to get branches that are going to go like this. They're going to come from the leaf and they're going to aim in the direction that the leaf is aiming. Okay? So that's basically clip and grow. I like clip and grow method because it causes your branches to have sharper angles. When you wire a branch, you get smooth curves. When you clip and grow, you get sharp angles like that. And that shows age to me. When you see a lot of sharp angles, it just looks older than when you do wires and make nice soft curves out of it. The other advantage to that is that you don't have to put wire on and take wire off and damage the branch. You're just working with what's already there, okay? Takes a little bit longer sometimes, but you get a better look in the end. You see the distance? See how close they are together? And then see how the leaves get bigger and bigger as it comes out? So these are what's going to give you smaller, tinier growth. So if I come here, and cut right here, then I'm going to get branches from all in there. This one I'll leave alone, like that. Okay? See that here?
Yeah.
Smaller, tighter, and then as it gets further out the limb, it starts to get bigger.
Oh, okay. Is that why this was cut here?
Yes. Well, it was cut there to give us this kind of thing.
Outside branches.
Does
So
everybody, go ahead.
on this one that you wanted to manipulate
Down.
to go down, do you do that every week, every day, or do
No,
you manipulate it every day?
We'll let that, I'm gonna take a little screw and put it in the side right here and just take a piece of wire and kind of hold it down like that,
Oh, just to weigh it down?
just to hold it in place, yeah. Okay? And I'll show you guys that in a minute, okay? Let me get this cleaned up pretty quick. Oops.
Yeah.
It's just you was waiting for that.
Thank you. That's like my point.
That was a lot of cutting right there.
Michael, is your elms all flushed out like this and halfly hardened off? Are your elms already fully pushed out and leaked out already? Because mine are barely pushing.
Oh, you know, you may be a little colder and not get quite as much light. You've been fertilizing, right? You're all of that. So I think it's just a matter of everybody's garden's a little bit different. It doesn't mean anything's wrong.
Tom, yes, I was at his house 3 weeks ago. Everything's full. Where ours is just taking off now. Yes. I couldn't believe how everything's already covered up. Yeah.
What's he doing different than what you are?
The area he lives in is a little lower than we're at. We're not higher. Yeah, so it's a little warmer.
Where?
He lives in Hacienda Heights.
Oh,
Yeah, so
He's got sunlight. I haven't had sun for a long time yet.
yeah. But yeah, it is, everything's already flooded. I couldn't believe it. It just, I just know. It's just growing. I was ready to go.
Here, show you. So what you were asking me about when you cut, see how we cut off a branch right there, and look at all these buds that we got all coming from the same scar. So in that case, we wanted stuff, right? But we don't want all of it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just keep like this one, and we're gonna lose these guys over here. Okay?
Right now, it's about 40.
It is, because it digs in a little bit, but, so when you end up with a whole bunch of branches, say you nub something off right at the trunk line, and you end up, you know, with a whole bunch of branches coming from that nub all at the same time like that. Even if you left 2 of those, it's gonna swell and you're gonna get a big knob right there. You almost always want to reduce that down to 1. Okay, just take everything else out, just leave the one piece that you're most comfortable with. Sometimes it's the strongest, sometimes it's actually a weaker one. But whatever you do, you don't want to leave a whole bunch coming from one place, and you'll end up with a big mess that you're trying to overcome later on. Does that make sense?
I only heard half of that. Sorry.
Okay, come, I'll show you. So right here, I had this branch here.
And then these others?
I had a whole bunch here. And if I had left even 2 of them, it would have continued to swell.
Okay, so
Really
that's
big.
that knuckling thing that you were talking
Yes,
about earlier.
exactly.
This guy can get pretty fat right here too, right?
Yes, see, you've got 3 or 4 coming out of there, like that. So you need to figure out which one you want to keep. Now, the other thing that's really important is you see how they're all on the same plane?
Yep.
So that's going to cause this to get even thicker. So you probably want to take this whole piece off, even though it's a back branch. Or maybe you want to keep
Wait, where's the front?
right here. So if you kept this one and lost,
You're keeping this one right here?
no, keep this one
Keeping this one?
and then take that one off, and then you get to keep this back one. And the back one's are good.
You're gonna keep this one?
Take this one off
This one's going.
and keep this guy,
Okay.
right? So we'll come in this way, we're gonna go this way with this.
You're taking that whole knob off.
Take off the whole knob like that. Nice and
Will it heal
Yes, it will.
smoothly?
Yeah, it'll heal over, and it heals up pretty quick when it's this age. As they get older and you take bigger cuts, it takes
Like
a lot.
people.
Yeah, like people. Okay,
So this guy's gonna stay.
we're gonna leave that guy, and we're gonna take
What
off,
about his friends?
we're gonna take off these guys back here, right?
No. Yep.
So we don't have too many from the same place. Okay? So now we have a little further up the trunk, and here, like this.
Is
Okay?
this little baby gonna go right here too? This little-
Probably gonna have to clean up because we don't want too
There's
many in the same
in
place.
Yeah.
So this guy, so let me work on that a little bit, and then you guys can think about it.
Where was the front now?
Simply.
No, I know, but I can't tell.
It's facing you.
Oh, okay. Oh, because of the branch, you can tell by the branches.
So Mike, have you had any fertilizer when you initially potted it? Or is it that fertilizer you added when you guys first potted it, that's the what's in there?
That's, you know, it's only been since January, so it's just now kind of time for another batch. So, you know, I use Osmocote 14-14-14, and at the same time that I put that on, which I think Lindsay talked about, 14-14-14, the same time I put that on, I put on some organic fertilizer. The organic fertilizer goes in first, has a big effect on the tree right away, but the Osmocote time release lasts about 10 to 12 weeks, depending on, you know, heat and moisture and that sort of thing. If you leave it on the surface, then it seems to work the best. If you try and mix it in a little bit underneath the soil, it tends to break down a lot faster. So depending on what it is you're trying to do, okay?
But what do you use as organic fertilizer?
Organic, I make my own. It's like blood and bone meal with, you know, it's like the old Naka, you know, cake mix. And I actually mix a little fish emulsion with it and put it on, on sphagnum moss. And so I kind of kill two birds with one stone. I soak the sphagnum moss in it and then set that on the surface of the thin layer, and it just rinses right down and it keeps it, you know, keeps it going really good. Okay?
Does that stench ever get off your hands after putting this, dipping in the sphagnum moss, putting it on the tree?
I use
Vanilla.
gloves.
Oh, you learned, I see.
I you know, handling stuff like that makes me nervous anyway, so I just wear gloves all the time.
So if I understand correctly, you lay this sphagnum moss down and then put the Osmocote on top.
Yeah, works really good, or you can put it underneath, whichever you're trying to accomplish. The sphagnum moss, you don't put it on an inch thick. It's just a really light layer. You can still see soil showing through it.
Would you defoliate this at any point?
Pardon me?
Would you defoliate it at any point to get the leaves smaller, or because you're trying to get the growth, you're just gonna let it?
As you cut back elms over the years, more and more, you'll find that the leaf size reduces. It's when you let them run and, you know, do what they're doing that they get really large like this. But these elms come from Ed Clark, and I'm up there helping him style a tree right now that the leaves on it are all like the size of my little finger. I mean, they're really small. So I know that these over time are going to reduce
So you
down.
wouldn't worry about?
Yeah, I don't, not too much. It's more about the inner node. And if you look really close, you can see that the first growth is pretty small. It's only when you let it extend that they start to get, you know, it's almost like it's doubling in size each new set of leaves that it puts on. Okay? So you're not, you know, over time, this is what you're going to have, almost all like that. Okay? All right, how am I doing? You want a break, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so why don't we take a break? You guys can come up and talk to Michael, and there's plenty of snacks back there. See Libby over there and her assistant Greg, they'll have their assistants over there for the raffle, okay?
And if you want to see
yes,
pictures of Gus and Isabel's baby.
Yes, Debbie has the pictures. So we'll raffle this tree off tonight.
I'm not going to get
I think it's in the back.
Mitch has got it. Am I talking okay?
No, you're doing great. You make them so they understand.
I'm trying to show everybody.
Well, this is pretty much it. I think this is the first time we've done a meeting underground. Yeah, usually there's someone present. He's a club member, but also yes. We have our announcements, we have the presentation, we have snack, we're finished the presentation on the raffle.
We need this one.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. This thing's too long. We cut it way down. I know, it's on the pictures. Yeah.
My thing with organic.
You know what, you don't have.
So, that was that one.
Problem is, many of the
mix it in, and then we can put it
Okay, I haven't tried that trick.
Yeah, so that's what we did to that other one. But he won't get time for that. He's gonna do bits of it. Oh, okay, so I'll cut it. And then this was cut from one of these. One time. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, make your, oh my goodness.
Some of the trees that were what I call ambidextrous growth.
Yeah.
Root never done it in the south.
And don't forget, if you're gonna go on a bus trip, see Shirley, so we can get a head count. Yes, today.
Right.
This is pretty round. I've made them with a swell. Cutting it more like that.
Yeah. So, and you're right. So if you cut it in, sometimes you don't get the nice back side, you know what I'm saying? So you smooth it off a little bit like this, and it's going to start to roll. What you can do to help it is you let this run. That's going to continue to get thicker puff. And then you continue to take like a little sharp tool. Keep working it right inside the scar right there. Take out, don't shake it, just keep opening that up. And help it
Rather than swelling out, we're helping it. You have to do that a lot of regularly.
Yeah, well, you're touching it about 2 or 3 times. Every time you do it.
It's a great grill. We haven't had sun up here. All mine are just barely like laying out. Everything's still super good.
My yard, I have plenty of like this.
I don't have anything like this.
They're in the same spot.
Last year, everything had already budded and was leafed out, and this year it's like
Cooler.
it's cold, it's all the rain.
Ideally.
Now what happens when you get like the little buds, but the leaves never come out? That's the one thing that's weird this year. My 2 elms that have done it, like all the top growth, I've got all the little buds, but no leaves, except at the leader. It's bizarre. They'll just come. Yeah. They'll start to pop.
Oh, yes.
Right. Yeah, get some snacks.
I finally all the other times I haven't been back this much. I had my brother, well, Lindsay.
So it's really similar to pruning a tree.
It is pruning.
But you're pruning it with an intention to make it healthy.
You're trying to keep it.
No, so one problem is just
The only one of them.
Looking good.
so I did do what?
Start pruning the style.
I did one start.
Is there any time in the year that you do a light prune?
No, you can do a light, I don't want to.
It grows a lot. So in the front, actually, it's kind of what, they know, right, and they're with.
You're pruning all the time.
So there's so when I first joined,
Then it won't give you what you want to get.
yeah, well, I was kind of busy because I was like, saying, oh, you're chasing up. But then I was like, so over time, I'm like, oh, okay, I live in Cork. Oh, okay. LA, climate.
Yeah, that's a central spot, and then out of the central spot.
Okay.
All the branches are in one place.
Also, which adds another difference.
Decide where.
There's some nerves more, right? So the UV and this is high, but I don't
maybe some things we can do
enough about, okay, if my UV index on this day,
stuff like that.
whatever, I don't know. All I know is I was out one year in early spring when it was like, I didn't put any shade on.
Get some grips on it, and then bring those back and start wiring them back around.
Yeah, I was like, oh my
Those
goodness.
dormant, all the leaves are
That's all
off,
I'm messing
flip it through where you want branch.
So it's been a journey of learning about. Well, my horse stories of where I live.
Got one right now that took 2 seconds to go.
Yeah. They seem to be taken.
They taken that.
Solve a lot of problems pretty fast.
And they fill pretty quick.
What about that Charlie stuff? Just
Well, I haven't got back here. No, with all this rain and everything. Yeah, so, no, we'll wait.
but a lot of this stuff you can't like over the surface.
We'll, we got about 95%.
Oh, okay.
So the next thing we'll do will be reviews.
Yeah.
And you can do it.
And it's just by any time.
Then once you get it done,
So, I talked to them.
Yeah.
So, that's why I'm going to, with the rain, I got something to do.
Well, all the old, anything that's new that I wanted.
Yeah, you let that run.
It's cheaper as far as the leader. So like these guys down here, I can shorten this guy up a little bit more. Here's what I was talking about. See how they start off their leaves are kind of small and then as it goes down, I mean, it's almost exponential.
A year ago, I had a contract with
So if we were to cut just here, because the chances of cracked branches in the back would only be 50 with the same, like that, wherever there was a heat, that's where the branches work from. So the further the distance,
yeah, I don't mind cutting your branch any further than all sorts of branches. That one might pop, the other one is fine. This is going to give me a lot of good.
depending on how much energy you have to branch.
It's just headaches.
So if we shut it down now, that
Just
can
find out
handle
if we
it.
have the headaches, or finding somebody or something crap.
Then all of these will have a chance. Right now, anything that I want, yeah, I just told
When did you discover?
yes, I think it was
doing this pretty soon. Structure, you're just trying to work on some kind of see how they we're testing, we're not going too far ahead on the so it could go on.
We didn't know anything, yes.
I think I want to make sure to drop myself. I'll talk to you.
And I find out,
I told you, they have trees. Anyway, when we get this lady, yeah, you get surprised, and we go along. It's like, I'm gonna talk to my family, and I think when we can get me to get a bonsai where I live, and if I get
It's just a straight
and after this lady does this, I think it'll be easier for her. After some of the people that have had it, I have pictures, and some of them ask where you buy those trees. I don't know. I think we'll talk to that lady and say, maybe they asked me if somebody will get one for me.
Yeah, I'll get a tree. Don't worry. I'll bring a tree.
They're probably not big ones.
Yeah.
How do you
Imagining what that thing is going to look like over time.
So it's
You have to look at it and try and decide what's accurate and what is so what's
so no, well, stay 2 days.
maybe you can
We did 4.
get that guy going there. Circling back and trying to
Yeah. Sitting in a
leave him for character. Good. I had to go out and look.
Really? At least my man picked it up. So I wasn't sure.
Yeah. It's pushing that. Good.
I didn't mean to take away from you. I just had to give it an opportunity.
No, it's 59. Yeah, make it there. So.
But what do you wouldn't think that this
People just kind of leave this.
We're not gonna tie down the night.
well, no, you can
We won't have time.
manipulate that one.
You know, I've noticed
Have this and then you can manipulate
How much?
what he was saying is
About a half.
here, and then this one.
Before you start covering it up again.
Oh, well, it could be in there, but
Yeah. Citrus, sometimes it's more fun to.
this is mine that
Cover it up kind of low and then give them the rattle from above. So
like beginner gonna figure out.
I chose to leave this branch, which kind of covers up the back, but over time, you know, we can do something coming up in there and usually have it show up. This is kind of short.
Okay, come on back. Michael's gonna talk about this tree, and then we'll move it over here and we'll bring in the next tree.
Okay, we got a little announcement.
Go ahead.
Wait, Mel. Mel's got it.
We need all the information we can get.
Yeah. We got a little announcement.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty much the talk about.
You have to be loud, Mel.
You get to put a plug in for your stuff.
Yes, please.
Go ahead,
July 2nd, in Little Tokyo, there's a building or gig or Japanese American culture center, community culture center. So they're having an anime event there, but they want Japanese culture too. So they asked me to do bonsai. So that'll be all day, July the 2nd. Downstairs, the garden is above. You know, that sunken garden.
So that's gonna be in the sunken garden?
Yeah, in the basement?
Yeah, oh, in the basement, not in the sunken garden, no, okay.
So you
Well,
take,
it might be on that part.
you take the elevator down?
Huh?
Would you take the elevator down?
Yeah, the elevator and the stairs.
Okay.
So that's, July 2nd. It's part of the Japanese community thing.
Is that a Saturday?
Should be nice. Huh?
Is that a Saturday?
I don't know, Saturday or Sunday, but it's all day. And, I'm having 3 or 4 of my students to help me out.
That guy back there?
One of them. And I just started teaching this guy named Kelly.
Yes.
We worked 3 days, had a workshop 3 days.
She works
She
with you
did
at
a
the
demo
front.
Saturday, she did a demo Sunday at an event in Torrance. So, pretty happy with her, because she listens.
She's a
So we're on our
fast
way.
learner. Kelly's a fast learner.
Yeah.
She was the one helping him at the bonsai. If anybody went to Mel's booth, young lady, that was Kelly.
But yeah, Kelly. Okay,
Okay, well,
carry on.
And the spaghetti was really, really good.
Spaghetti was good, huh? All right, I think what we're gonna do is, because I'm just gonna, I'll pull this branch down a little bit for a back branch. This one's already kind of aimed in the right direction. Eventually, this is all too straight right here, this piece. So we're gonna have to cut back at some point to start creating a little bit of movement in this. But right now, I just want it to run. So we'll figure out where to cut back to later. But we're gonna pull this down to create kind of a back branch out of it right now. Just really lightly, I'm not gonna wire it, I'll just pull it down and put a screw in here. But we're gonna leave this alone for the most part. One more little cut right here. So this is where we're kind of at, all right?
So if you're doing directional pruning, when do you know, like when is the right time to cut for changing
So that's a
direction?
really good question. When a tree's first starting out like this, it's a good idea to let it, you're trying to thicken different parts up to match the old trunks. And so you don't want to do a lot of cutting in the beginning. You want to let it run to thicken. You just want to keep certain branches that you're going to probably keep that are already about the size, kind of pruned back, and you do directional pruning. So in this case, we're going to touch this tree 3 times this year. You know, we'll do it now, and then we'll do it in September, and then there'll be one more pruning kind of when it goes dormant, to kind of profile it out a little bit, okay? But that's about it. And you do directional pruning on each of those events, okay? Beyond that, it's just you're letting it get a lot of strength, and then when you push it back, it'll really energize.
But those branches aren't gonna thicken up as much when you cut them for directional pruning.
So if
They're gonna slow it down.
okay, so I've cut this off and cut some of the ones that were strong on it back. That's gonna force the growth to these other guys more, and they're gonna grow strong faster until they start to match the size. Over here, I'm not gonna touch these at all. I'm just gonna let them continue to run. I probably won't touch these until way late in the year, if at all. Okay, they may go into next year, like that, okay? These branches over here wanna be at least as big as that is right now. These are main branches. Does that answer
Yeah.
the question? Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? These guys over here are brand new. They just came this year. So we're gonna let these run for as long as we can until they really, really thicken up. They'll get a lot of energy so that when you do cut them, then it'll really push from all of those leaf buds all the way back. Okay? You'll get a lot of energy back there. So if I don't cut these until way late this time next year, then when I do cut them, I'll get a lot of energy on all of these leaves back here, and get a lot of back branching. That's what we want. Any other questions on this one? Mr. Mitch, is he here?
Yep, he's ready.
Aha.
Okay, so we're done?
Yeah. Okay. So that one's auctioning, right?
Yes, I'm gonna put it on the table over there. Great, where's Greg? I'm gonna have it.
Outstanding. Look at that thing. What a weed.
Yeah. It's a weed.
Look at the tree.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
So where's the front?
Oh, it's somewhere in here. I'm going to say the front is on this side.
Right in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what was the plan? Tell everybody what the plan was with the front of this.
It's going to look like an informal upright is the basic idea.
Okay.
So a large trunk going this direction. There's another nice sized piece that's going that direction. You can see it tops out up here.
Right.
And so now it's time to start.
Figuring out which ones we're gonna keep and which ones we're gonna get rid of, right?
I think so, but a lot of them have gotten pretty thick already.
You gotta be happy.
I'm really happy. Yeah, I'm really happy. We had a little problem with a lot of the stuff you put on the top. Either the roots grew so much that it kind of popped out of there, or a lot of stuff just ran off. So it's a little dry on the top right now. But I've been keeping it moist.
You put soil on? Did you put any more soil back on down there?
No, I didn't, because it was just going to run off. And so
Okay.
I didn't have a good technique until Shirley told me what to do, and I'll do that when I get home.
Okay. So what we did was, because this has such a big trunk, I remember now, we didn't cut off as much of the bottom of the root ball as we should have.
Right.
And so it sat a little bit high in the box. And when we mounded the soil up to kind of cover the surface roots that were up in the mound, a lot of that soil has been washed off as time goes along. And so a lot of the roots have been exposed. So what are you gonna do?
I'm going to, Shirley gave me the idea to put some additional soil, again, put the topper mix on it, and then get a screen and just put a light screen over the top and
Poke some pins in
poke
it?
some pins in it and hold it down so that soil will stay on top of the roots.
Good idea. Good idea.
Cheese pot in lieu of a sleeve.
Huh?
Cheese pot.
I would, yeah, that could work too. Yeah.
So what, So the plan right now is to get in here and clean out some of this bottom stuff that we don't need, right?
Right.
And pick and choose what we're gonna keep and what's gonna go away?
Yes.
Okay. So, can everybody see this? Here's his front right here. And he's got all this low growth down in here, right? So a lot of this stuff needs to get cleaned up to create, you know, so you can see that trunk line, right? What are these? Is this weeds or volunteers or what?
I don't know what those are.
We're gonna take them off. Huh?
Yeah. We don't.
All right. This bad boy's hopping. Are you okay with me just going in really quickly?
Yes.
And you didn't have any ideas about changing what we did originally, right? You don't want any of these low branches to happen.
Those low branches are too low.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. I'm just checking to make sure
Yeah.
you didn't have a new idea on me.
Was this like a Yamadori? Like fat?
It almost looks like it could have been, huh?
Because look at how fat that is.
I know.
This was the biggest one, you know.
It was in a pot.
You know, we let everybody choose which of the trees they thought we should work on last time. And I think hands down, this was the one.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, you know, with big trunks come big root problems, almost always. And so this one's got some work to happen down below.
Right. I don't. Yeah. It took two sawzall blades
To cut it out.
To cut it out.
Did you have, so when we get up here to this first bit, which branch do you want to keep on this bit?
I'm going to say that based on what that looks like, that's on its way to being a good first branch, just because of the size and the location. But with having this many small branches
What
here,
about that guy back there?
oh, that's better. This one's really good. So, I mean, it's on the outside of a curve. This one is a little
bit further back.
It's a little far back. This is gonna, in the end, this is gonna
Be more where you would want it.
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
So we should take, and it will show off less of the scar. The further this way we can go, the less you'll see that scar, right?
Right.
So we'll take that back guy off.
This big one?
This big one back here. And keep this guy.
As long as it is, I think so. I mean, that's gonna be too far back for a first branch. You're automatically, when you splay the tree, it's gonna, the wide base is already gonna be going away from you. This is your first branch.
Yeah.
So if you want the wide base,
It's gotta be this guy.
it's
right
gotta
here,
be,
right?
it's gotta be the smaller of the two.
You wanna do the honors?
Sure.
Straight on up that way. Or come straight down, either one, whichever you want.
Can I do it in two cuts?
Yep.
Pick both of them, yes?
I would.
I'm just nervous because everybody's watching. This is my first demo.
Okay, so we're just gonna shave that back a little bit.
Okay.
So that we don't get any more happening there.
He doesn't know what to do.
Now, these guys are all gonna come on.
Right.
We're gonna just take out all of these things.
We got lost. Right?
Like that?
Okay, keep these on the floor.
Pretty good? Shorten this guy up. See now, look. Just so you know, this is becoming almost like two branches. So this doesn't have any branch happening in here.
Right.
I mean, that's what I was
So
told.
it may be that what we want to do is keep this for the time being. We may want to switch to this one. If it starts to run real good, we could pinch it back and get other branches happening.
A little louder, Michael, so they can understand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So what he's got, he has a problem. He wants to, Mitch likes this is his first branch right here. Problem is that it's no back branches until about 2 or 3 inches all the way out from the trunk, which is a little bit far for this tree, okay? So he really needs to have something a little closer. What he's got is he's got this branch back here behind him that's coming off of the same place in the trunk. So if we let this branch run, it's got a lot of leaves behind. If we let this branch run for a while, get really thickened up, and we take this one off, all the energy will go to here. And then when we shorten this guy back, we're gonna get a lot of little branches back inside there. And that'll be a lot better, okay? So in this case right now, we'll just kind of give it some time and we'll make the decision later on. Give it a chance, okay? See what the tree gives us. What?
Could you possibly make it back then, force it to give leaves in that?
This one here?
Yeah, or no way?
We might be able to. What we can do is we can take off leave this guy and take it off here and shorten this up and see if we can't force it a little bit.
Yeah.
But if we don't get anything, we got this guy as a backup. All right? So that's what we're gonna do. Just give ourselves some options. So Mitch, I'm gonna take this guy off right here.
Is that okay with you, Mitch?
That's
Okay.
yeah.
I saw his jaw drop.
No.
Okay, and we're just gonna continue to let these guys run a little bit and see if we get anything. Something else we might be able to do a little bit further down the line when this gets a little bit bigger, if it didn't get any branches and we decided this is what we wanted to keep, we could possibly take a branch from like back here someplace and whip it around and do when it's dormant and do a thread graft right there. And create some branches for us. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Yes, sir. Nope. Ah.
That problem with branch, I mean, the problem with that truck, did they have bark?
I didn't hear the question. Mel.
The problem of that truck, do they have is there a space there that doesn't have bark on it?
The
He might be looking at that cut.
Oh, the cut right there. We have a cut right there, but we're not going to be thread grafting up there. If that's what you mean.
So thread graft, no?
We're going to if we thread graft it, we thread graft through this branch right out here, where we have a big blank space. Okay, we try and create some branches back in here. Not up in here. We don't. You're right. That's dead wood up there. We wouldn't be able to get anything to take. You're absolutely correct. That would be dumb of me to try that back there. Huh?
What's a thread graft?
A thread graft, good question. So just like it sounds, you're like threading the needle. You drill a hole right through the branch, and you bring a living branch around, and you thread it through the hole. You kind of seal it off at both ends, and then when it starts to grow, it grows from that spot forward. And as it grows, it swells and starts to get all its nutrients from the branch that you've pushed it through.
Then eventually do you
Cut it off.
Okay.
Cut the backside off.
Kind of grafting, right?
Yes, it is. Okay. All right, so continuing up the trunk, none of these guys here in the front, right?
No.
So we're gonna take, you wanna go for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Got your chops going now, man.
Well, you know, usually before I do anything like this, I'll stop and I'll think about it for 3 weeks. And then
Well, that's good. I like that. There's nothing like staring at your tree and,
Right.
figuring it out.
you get 10 people to come over and give you your opinion, and you cut off one branch.
It's not like a three-legged stool where you cut one and then you make everything else shorter to match.
Right. Yeah. And you use it as a coaster.
Okay, so straight up, not so good. But if we bring it down, so which of these do you think is the best choice here?
I'm going to say this is not the best choice.
Okay.
Well, hang on, wait a second.
I got-
These, again, the same problem here. No leaves.
Well,
Well, it's got buds though.
Yeah.
There's buds in here.
so this guy,
This has a lot of buds.
So
This guy, yeah. This has a lot.
5 branches from one spot.
Oh, yeah, I saw
So
that.
we're gonna keep one, right? And he's just deciding, okay, so where do I want that branch? Do I want it a little bit forward? Do I want it a little back? Do I want the one that's laying down? Do I want the one that's sticking up? These are all good questions you need to ask yourself.
My thinking is that even though this is not the thickest branch, it's got a lot of buds here.
Okay.
As soon as it hits some sunlight, those things are gonna pop, and it's got some nice length on it.
Okay, so this branch is coming a little forward.
Right.
So and this branch is gonna be laying right on top of it.
Unless we move that.
Yeah, we can push it back, or then would that one be better?
This doesn't appear to be as good of a branch, other than it's just thicker.
Okay.
Yes, no? Is that
No,
right,
that's
right or
fine.
wrong?
Either way, we could take it off right here,
Yeah.
bring it down, and then that would be like that.
Well, in which case, then I would say that this is the more desirable branch in terms of getting this done, getting something going quick.
Yeah.
Because that's a thicker branch.
Okay, so these guys are gonna come off.
Yes.
So this, right here, right here. And we're gonna take this off right here. We're gonna lay that down kind of like in there,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Back branches. So we don't want any of this low stuff, right?
Right.
Now, where do you want your first branch to be back here? And why?
Well, given that in theory this is going to be the first branch, I'm going to say that it's going to be slightly above that, and it could be any place in this region.
So-
This is a little low. Am I thinking right or wrong?
No, you're right. So one of the things that they always tell us in the rule book is that you have a first branch, a second branch, and then someplace between those two or after those, you have a back branch. Deciduous trees, I don't think it matters that much. You can have a back branch be lower than your first branch. It's still it's doing the job of silhouetting the trunk, and it's not necessarily a hard and fast rule. Conifers, different story. Don't want to go there with the conifers, but with the deciduous trees, it doesn't bother me that much visually when I see a back branch lower than my first branch. It doesn't really bother me that much, as long as it's doing the job back there, silhouetting the trunk the right way, that's cool. So in this case, this first branch is right here, and you're looking at one of these guys being your back branch?
Yes. And again, I'm inclined to think. Now, am I concerned about long internodes at this stage of development?
Not too much.
This right here.
Okay, so take off everybody else, right?
Right.
So we're gonna take off this top side. All of these go away. Again, we've got a cluster of branches happening from one spot. And we're taking them, try not to make them groups out of this.
Oh, that would be good.
Sort of, kinda.
Huh.
By the way, this is right where we took off a big back branch. It was really, really heavy back here. And when we took it off, we left a little bit of a nub because we knew we were gonna possibly get branches right on the nub of where we cut it off. We left it a little long. And we have a whole variety to choose from back here. So we've picked, Mitch has picked this one because it's actually on the top side of that nub, and it's aimed in just about where he wants it to be. So we don't need this guy, right? No. Or nor this guy. Okay. Don't need that guy. Did you decide about this one? That's actually a pretty good place, isn't it?
Yeah, there's two to choose from, and this is
That one's the best.
yeah, I think so.
What about this guy?
Well, that's a nice branch.
So take a look from the front.
You know, I think long term, this is the smaller branches again going to end up being the better branch.
Okay, so everything else comes off?
Yeah,
So I'm gonna take this guy off.
that big one, right?
So once you cut it to the very part of the nub, it won't grow back anymore? If there won't be.
If I go back all the way to the trunk, we take off all of that part where it swells out, that original
No,
union
yeah.
area. If I take off all of that union area, there won't be anything come as a result.
Coming out.
Yeah, that's
You kind of killed it.
pretty much. I mean, once in a while, if you don't cut it all the way back hard, you'll still get something. But in this case, we'll try to take it off so we don't ever have that problem.
So maybe sometimes if you're not too sure, maybe not cut it all the way?
You'll get another one.
Yeah.
Second chance. Second chance branch.
So like what you're doing now is cutting into all the way.
That should take care of it. All right,
All right.
starting to open up again now, huh?
Yep.
Do you usually cut paste for this, or are you just using, this time, do you cut paste for that?
I'm sorry.
Do you usually cut paste to cover up those big cuts?
Yes, I didn't bring any with me. This is the part where I'm supposed to ask for lipstick. That's what John Naka did, that I don't have any cut paste. I might have it in my bag. I don't know. I had it out and was using it. So we're gonna keep that guy, right?
My question is this technically a bar branch this low in the tree, or just?
This one might be, so you might want to come a little bit higher up. You've got, it's not that bad. It's a little bit above, and it won't be that bad, but it's also coming out of what they call the inside of a curve.
And that's not so great.
Yeah, that's kind of called a pocket branch.
Right.
And so that sometimes isn't,
Then these would be
maybe a little bit.
more desirable.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take that guy off.
Sure. It'll keep growing, right?
It already looks better, doesn't it?
It does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay.
Okay, now where? So we've got this guy,
Right. These little ones, no,
not so much, right?
I don't think so.
So those are all coming up. I'm gonna leave that, Mitch.
That little one right there?
Yeah, same as
Same
like-
idea?
Yeah.
Because it's just a nice looking branch and it's coming from the same spot.
Well, it's right at the base, so I think we're okay.
All right.
Okay, so we like this guy back here, right?
This one.
Yeah. Do we still want this one and this one? Both?
There's no reason to not take them this early in the process.
Right. You could leave them both
You
and
can
pick and choose.
Pick and choose.
Yep. Leave them for later. Okay, so see you got this big swell here.
Right.
So
Touch that. Oh, yeah. So that's not good.
well, it's going to be. See, that's because we had a lot of branches coming from. This is exactly the problem when you take off a big branch like this right here and you leave a big nub and you get all these little branches coming out of it and you leave them go, then this just swells up even bigger. And sooner or later this becomes a real eyesore. Okay? Everybody see that right here? This is this big nub right here. Not so attractive. What's up?
Mike, when that back branch is going to be lower than the first and second branch, they call it an accent.
A who?
Accent.
An accent branch. Okay, well that's, I did not know that. Thank you. So anyway, so what we're gonna have to do here is, if we decide that that's an important place to have a branch right there, you all see this? Then we're gonna have to shave down some of that nub and continue to grow this branch. And over time, make it so that the branch swells and gets rid of the nub. We can do it, it's just gonna take time, and we're gonna have to pay attention to it, okay? So it's like little bit, little bit, little bit. You don't do it all at once.
So you like
You just
carve it?
carve off part of the nub and take out all the extra branches, shorten back the big branch, and then next time after you do a little bit more, and as the branch begins to swell and you've reduced down all of the nub, it's gonna hide that ugly nub there, okay? But you can't do it all at once, and if you wanna keep that branch, we're gonna have to do it over time.
But kind of getting rid of like
Onion, yeah.
Funny.
Well, heck, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of it's not too big a branch. But also, we're not gonna keep these branches down here, and this one right on top.
Right, we can take those off. Yeah.
So,
We can cut those off first so you can see it
I
better.
think so. We don't want all those parallel branches, correct?
So I can get rid of all of these, right?
Yes. And that guy.
Like that?
Yes, and then, so, yes, we're gonna keep this branch, this one's a problem.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna have to learn how to address this.
So I'm gonna
This.
take out,
I mean, if it was a,
how about this?
If it was a juniper, you could just take that off and then bring the other one around.
Look at. What if we kept this one here
Yeah?
and reduced all of that stuff down and let this one swell and cover that up over time?
And then just take this and wire this off to this side a little
Yeah,
bit?
a little bit like that.
Okay,
So we can take.
'cause that's awfully high up in the tree to have something that's that thick anyway, given the other choices that I've made.
So we can go like this. We can take off this big guy right here. So I'm gonna start shortening this down. Ready?
Yes.
Not that one. I got glued.
Oops.
I just think the chances of that becoming a bigger problem are better than the chances of the problem getting fixed at the right time.
So over time, we'll whittle that down a little bit more and we'll just bring that guy over. like
Yes,
this.
I agree.
Okay? So this guy's important right here.
Yes.
So not so much, this is the one we want to keep, right? So we're going to lose some of those other ones?
Keep this and these guys are going.
Okay. Right?
Right?
So we're starting to get pretty good taper here. We can shorten this top up a little bit. We don't have to let it run like it's running right now. See, we're already getting a pretty good taper going. So is this guy going to stay? If we're going to keep this one, are we going to lose this one and take something higher up?
Well, this is long, but it doesn't have that much taper in it.
No. The difference between here and here is.
Oh, right, it's significant.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting this is gonna become the new leader?
No.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe up here, you need to create movement. This is all getting too straight.
Right.
So, and here's your base.
Yeah.
So at some point you want to start up.
Okay.
Maybe it's here.
So the question is, are you gonna keep this?
Maybe it's here. How about this one?
This guy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let that be the leader. Take this off. Let that run.
I don't think that's a bad idea. I don't know, the species, how much thicker will that become?
Well, this is 2 years old right now.
Okay.
But it has all this growth on it. That's why it's gotten to be thick. I mean, we can go further up if you'd like. We could do it here.
You know, I'm 70 years old.
Oh.
I want to see it get done before I die.
You got the wrong hobby.
So, I mean.
How many years do you think we got?
Oh, well, I think we got 20.
You pick then, because you could only do anything in 20 years.
Okay.
They're pretty fast growers.
Are they pretty fast growers?
Yeah, look at it.
I don't think even this, as this stands right now, this is not attractive.
Yeah.
So
pretty
this has to be
Shortened.
shortened in some regard.
Yeah,
And
where
so
do you want to pick? Pick one.
I am thinking that you're probably right.
Let that be the leader?
Well, it's the longest one to begin with. Of all these other ones that are here, this one is the longest one already.
So if I take it off right here, then this is going to be a branch that we'll shorten and we'll let that one run?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. You ready? You want to do it?
Yeah, sure.
Joe, I need bigger cutters. Let me do this.
Okay.
If I break them, it's mine. Whoops.
No, I think that's going to be great. And that one that we're keeping is
Oh, we've got a
actually.
spider over there.
Nice. And that one that we're
Yeah, do you
keeping
want me
is
to
actually
shoot?
growing in a very nice
You like
direction.
Oh, I can't
In terms
stand
of
it.
just the amount of.
No, don't kill them, don't kill them.
Why not?
They're good,
Yes
very
or
big
no?
bugs.
Yep.
Oh, they're
Good
horrible.
call.
Yeah.
As long as it's not. I like the lizards, but
Okay, we'll whittle the rest of this down later. We don't
Okay.
want to interfere with this.
All right.
And I'm going to shorten this back
Okay.
because we don't want it to get too carried away. So directional prune on all of this stuff. So here we got two side by side. Actually, we take this one.
What about these downward growing things?
Those come off.
Okay. All right.
So downward growing comes off.
did you still see it?
So we just shorten that.
It's devastating.
Oh, it's back over on this side now.
Oh, there it goes. She's gonna take him out.
We're gonna start.
Good
Okay.
thing there's a Buddhist in the way.
Because it's fighting.
Okay. We're having too much fun. Is that what you're saying? All right. Let's,
What's that?
so we're raffling off this tree, right?
Wait a second.
Mine work out.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mitch, we're gonna, let's thin out this backside and call it a night. So this guy's coming short. We're gonna let these guys run. Which of these guys do you want to keep back here? Because we got the same kind of thing.
We're going to, since this is the new leader, we're gonna remove this.
Okay.
Oh, so
Yeah, just go.
This guy's coming off?
Yes.
This guy's coming off?
Yes.
I didn't know they were calling them out.
Keeping this one or keeping this one? You want this one or this one?
Epicon?
Yes.
I want Jacquet.
Where you got it?
That one?
I named that for you already. I love it.
These are coming off.
The little forest.
I'm gonna take that guy off.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna, so if we keep this one going this way, then we can keep this one going that way, kind of thing. So I'm gonna take this guy, actually, I kind of like that, but I'm gonna take this guy off. This guy.
Yeah, but you want to
Take out this guy. This guy's coming off, right?
Yes, because we've got this.
I don't know that that was.
Okay, this is last year's group, so I'm gonna shorten this up a little bit, okay?
So as far as the shortening goes, you're gonna be,
Just force the growth into some of the.
right, and with the exception, of course, of the new leader, you're gonna want these to just be more compact. This one we can.
Right. Exactly. So I'm gonna take, we're gonna keep this, right? You said keep this,
Yes.
right? For right now. So we're gonna- this is last year's group too, so we're gonna shorten this guy up.
I like your snack, Brian. Finally got snack. Tired of it.
We're gonna leave it alone. Let that run. I'll shorten this guy up.
Yeah, we wanna try to get more, but there's some bugs here, so it'll go back.
Okay?
no, just stay there. I need to stand up.
Different tree, huh?
No,
What do you think?
Get up, yeah.
It's already looking like you can see where it's gonna wanna go.
Right, huh?
You can see this is gonna happen. Nice.
Cool.
So I'll put some more soil on it.
Yes. And feed it again.
Yeah.
Time to feed it. Yeah, I remember.
So
this.
do you put Osmocote in that soil mix when you put it in the box?
So what you want to do is you want to,
Put some organic in now?
yeah, you want to bring it up, bring your soil level up, cover this so that it doesn't rinse off like it's been doing.
Yeah.
Okay? And then spag and boss with, soap with like fish emulsion and other organic materials on top of this, just light to to hold everything. Put your screen, put your osmocote, and call it. Okay?
Yeah, I'm trying to grab it really well.
Huh?
It's too heavy.
Yeah, I mean, it's been getting when all that rain happened, I could get out, get all that rain, that rainwater on it. So,
Save any rainwater?
huh?
Save any water?
I saved some, but I've used it for other things. So,
Okay, so put cut face on the I don't think I brought any, and that was a mistake. I should have done that.
No, I just need to give her a
cool.
Shirley?
Yeah.
We'll take one more crack at it.
So you said
And I agree with you because I went out and bought a bag of the other stuff. And it's small. It's okay. This stuff would have been better. This stuff comes from Hershey. That other stuff, I don't know where it comes from.
horticultural organization. I'll look again.
Yeah, like chocolate.
But if you're going to try that, there's several things that are selling it, and I made the mistake of buying one that's called a mulch, and it's super fine. And so it was washing off me things when my dog got into it. Made the dog sick. The dog didn't die, but it made the dog sick, and that's why if you're going to use these, you got to get the big ones. So yeah, the big ones. I think it's very good for the trees. It's the same thing.
Lindsay.
But it's got hormones and stuff in it.
It's like our good
It just makes everybody happy. So I think this does a lot of the same stuff.
I've been trained horses, dogs and coconut.
No, that's the mistake that I made is I bought some, and the stuff that I bought was the mulch, not these big husks. And the dog got into the mulch.
Yeah.
And she got sick.
Yeah, that's because I know that's what he uses. But yeah, my dog wouldn't eat anything.
No, she.
I use mine for
$1,500 later.
Yeah.
She had to go to emergency. Well, she ate. She just got in her and took her all off the top. She ate.
Cover timing.